Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, Bob Przybylo, and we are joined by George Stoia. When Oklahoma wins the way that they did on Saturday in Stillwater, we bring in a little bit of some bigger guns here, as well as the Oklahoma women with a 35-point victory. Yep. We'll get to Jennie Baranczyk and the Oklahoma women in a second. They have a chance to win the regular season title in the Big 12 Conference coming up on Wednesday night when they host Texas at the Lloyd Noble Center. But, Bob, we talked about it last week on the Hoops Report. It was going to be a monumental game for Oklahoma and Porter Moser and the rest of the basketball team. What a game. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It was a great game.
It was a great game
to start with, and then the ending was just phenomenal for Oklahoma fans, obviously, with Javian McCollum making the buzzer beater. I can't remember a game that literally was a buzzer beater like that.
Right? I mean, not like 1.1 or 0.7. It's over. As soon as it went through, like, that's it. They'll review it, but it's good. It's over. Soares can keep taunting the crowd. No one cares. It's totally done. And, best Bedlam that I've ever seen. My history isn't that far back. I mean, I was there for Trey Young with his overtime game in Stillwater, and there for Cade Cunningham, the show he put on in Norman a few years ago. But best Bedlam game in a long, long time. And like you said, it's played at such a high level compared to what we saw 2 weeks ago, where we're like, oh my goodness, it was just a slog to try to get through it. What those two teams did on Saturday was very impressive to watch.
Second half, it was incredible. Just with both of those teams going back and forth. I think that you look at the box score, both teams scored 54 points in the paint, which is just unbelievable. Neither team went on a run of more than 4 points in the second half, and it seemed like every time that Oklahoma State was starting to build the lead, maybe run away with the game, Oklahoma had some type of answer, whether it be Rivaldo Soares, who we'll get to a second play and hurt. Otega Oweh had some moments in the second half, but I thought it was kind of fun, and we talked about it when we were leaving the Gallagher-Iba Arena on Saturday evening, was it felt a little bit like the Kansas game in that Oklahoma led by 11, and all of a sudden Kansas was only down by 6 at halftime, or 5 at halftime. It kind of felt like that a little bit in terms of Oklahoma only being down by 8 at halftime. Felt like a godsend.
Yeah, when Soares makes that three with 40 seconds left, by the way, I don't know how OSU got away with never taking the ball out, like multiple times. He hits it with 40 seconds left. That's a 2-for-1. No, OSU inbounds it with 29 seconds left, so they didn't get the 2-for-1. That's beside the point. But when he hit that to make it by 8, you're like, as dead in the water as they looked, as lifeless as they looked. So there was just Jalen Moore and Soares. Those were the only two that showed up in the first half. You're only down 8. If you can get a nice start in the second half, which, by the way, they did. They got a 4-point play right off the bat. And it's like, it's game on from this point. It's still there for the taking. You want this win. You want to give Porter Moser's first win in Stillwater. It is still there to happen.
I think the hardest thing, too, was even if you came out of, the way that they started the second half, they had the 4-point possession. But even then, you get to the under 16 timeout and you look up, you're back down 6. It just seemed like every time that Oklahoma State was getting ready to run away with it, Oklahoma just had a little bit of a something else up their sleeve, and ultimately getting it to overtime. The Javon Small missing the free throw in regulation. Who could have thunk it? Like, I don't think that anybody expected an 86% free throw shooter to miss the front end, the 1-and-1. And how lucky it was that they were still just in the bonus rather than the double bonus. That would have given Javon Small a chance to get another free throw, and what a good look they had at the end, too.
Yeah, it almost felt like Porter had accepted that Small was making them because Luke Northweather and Sam Godwin weren't on the court. Sure. They weren't thinking get the rebound.
Yeah, they were thinking get your ass up the court.
What are we going to do after Small makes it? And, I mean, they got lucky because that it didn't hurt them because they didn't get the ball, and they got a pretty good look for 0.6 being left on the clock. But just it's like everyone took their turn, which was so great to see. Everyone had their moment. There was Otega, Luke hitting the 3 in the corner, Jalen Moore carrying the team on his back in the first half, Soares hitting 3 after 3, Los taking contact and making shots, and, of course, Javian playing hero.
The ultimate no. Oh, my God, yes, that was a good shot to finalize the game, 84-82. I was telling George, sitting there on the baseline, it's like, 7,
what
6,
are you doing?
5. Like,
what are you doing?
You need to get a shot up. And I know that Toby referenced it on the radio call as you were headed back from Norman.
The radio call just phenomenal
Yeah.
from Toby Roman. He's one of the best in the country in what he does. But yeah, it was really good. But watching it live too is like, what's the play call? Like, what was the play design? I think Porter said after the game they had 2 sets maybe that they were trying to run.
They had one for zone, but they weren't.
Yes.
They went for man, and then it's like, okay, let's clear out, let Javian go downhill, but he couldn't.
Yeah,
he was stopped. Keller was playing really nice defense, so McCollum tried a second time, get downhill, didn't work, and then he's like, oh, what does Javian do when all else fails? He does a step back. It doesn't always work, but man,
it was great
works
defense
Saturday.
too. It was,
yeah.
their hand in his face.
I don't know. Like that shot, obviously, it changed the game. It changed maybe the fortune of the Oklahoma season. We'll talk about that here in a second. But there were multiple phenomenal shots. Like I thought the John Michael Wright shot in the corner. There's not much you can do there either, and he knocked it down. But it was phenomenal. A big win for Oklahoma. Here is Porter Moser, Javian McCollum, as well as Rivaldo Soares after the game.
I mean, the feeling was great just to know that my teammates and my coaches trust me in that moment. But like I said, we had a couple of big plays before that. Waldo hit a big 3, Tega in 1, Los came down, hit an in 1. So, I mean, it was a whole bunch adding up to it. I just hit the shot.
That's what we love. We love that silence. You see me on the film, I'm looking at the ball go in, and he hits it. I'm in front of JV like, oh, my God. Because I hit a game winner last year against our rival when I was at Oregon, against Oregon State. And, like, I just know that feeling. And I was just so happy for him.
Surreal.
Like, it's surreal. Like, even when your teammate makes it, like, you feel like you made the shot, And that'll go down in history.
The time before they came out in a zone. So we had 2 actions to come to do that. We didn't know if they were going to be a zone. They came out in man. And we were, earlier in the overtime, we ran an action where we just cleared the left slot and had Javian go down the slot. So we ran the same action. He's an elite free throw shooter. He's our best shot maker. And I thought they guarded it well. They leveled him off. They wouldn't let, and that's hard to do with Javian because he's so quick. And then Javian made a great shot. I think that's, we had two actions ready, one zone, one man. The man one, we got him to the rim the time before, and that's what we wanted the ball at the end of the half. In practices and all year, he has that ability to make tough shots. And that was a very tough shot. It was a great play by Javian to cap off an amazing game.
And to see that going, it feels good. But at the end of the day, the goal is to always get a win and just help these guys and always move forward.
And just to go off of that, we don't, it's always great when you're hitting shots, It's about what you're doing when you're not hitting shots,
Exactly.
And up until that point, I felt like Javian was guarding. He was talking on defense. He kept us engaged. He was a leader, much more than just a scorer. And then he came in clutch at the end.
No, you could ask him what I told him. I kept on saying, keep shooting. He took some really good ones in the first half. He just missed. I think he missed his first 5. I just kept on telling him, keep shooting. I took him out, offense, defense of that one play right there. I put my arms around him. I said, hey, you're going to come in and keep playing. You're going to keep making a big play. Total confidence in him. Kept on telling him to keep shooting.
Absolutely incredible.
Missed his first 7. First 7 threes.
2 for 9.
2 for
on
9.
the
He
night.
missed his first 7 threes.
Ended up making the last 2, and they were very meaningful. I think the second one was late in the second half as well.
Yeah.
It seemed like every time they needed a big basket just to keep within punching distance, they were able to get it. And one of those reasons was because of Rivaldo Soares. The 28 minutes that he played on Saturday afternoon ends up with the team high, ended up with the team high 20 points. I thought it was from an inspirational standpoint to just what they got out of him on Saturday. It was kind of defining for what he has meant to this team.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard Soares talk repeatedly. I want to get to the tournament. I've never been there. And you can just see this is what it means to him. This is what he's willing to put on the line to try to make that happen. And when he turned that ankle with about 5 or 6 minutes left to go in the first half, you just felt just so deflating. It's like, oh, no, he's out. OU's down like 8 already. They're about to get blown out. And you could see him working. I had the great vantage point, even though you're way up high. You're right there by the OU bench, and you just see him. He's just working to get back.
He just kept jumping up and down.
And when he came back in that second time, he took over.
It was quite unbelievable. Here it is right here. I mean, I thought this was the moment, and I think that Oklahoma State goes on a little run here to extend the lead. And it was like, okay, like this, you kind of missed your moment there. And they were able to, obviously kind of sustain it. Here is Porter Moser as well as Rivaldo Soares after the game talking about his performance.
He's been playing at such a high level. We knew when he went out we were going to miss him because for 7 straight games he was one of the best player. And his presence. So yesterday, so 2 days ago he got about 25% of the reps. Yesterday he got about 50% of the reps, and he was just like, I want to play, I want to go on it. And what a warrior! What a game he had. I mean, just a huge part of the win, and we missed that. I mean, his just presence, 20 points. He's just having a will to win right now, and it was great that he was able to come back and play.
You know, just guiding with my trainers, strength coach, and just doing a whole lot of treatment. You know, some days I did more treatment sessions than I had meals, and it was just, I think that was the first collegiate game I missed in my career. I didn't want to miss it, and I definitely didn't want to miss another one, so it was just grinding to get back. And I just tweaked it real quick, you know, just felt a little discomfort, got subbed out, kept it moving, and I was good to get back in.
Rivaldo Soares finishes the game 7 for 9 from the field, 3 for 3 from behind the arc. One of those that you get fouled on, made 3 of 5 free throws. And, you know, I thought that him and Jalen Moore specifically in the first half, they were exceptional, getting rebounds, doing things that Oklahoma simply needed to just stay within the game.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while for everyone else to come along for the ride, but what Moore and Soares were able to do in the first half, that's why it was only an 8-point game, because it sure didn't feel like it. It felt like one of those 12, 15-point deficits, and OU hasn't shown a lot of heart when being down, and I think that's what a lot of people take from Saturday. That's the first time where it felt like they showed the type of championship heart that's going to be necessary to earn a berth into the tournament. Usually, they're blowing the lead and seeing if they can get a second win. This was the first time where, you know, against Central Florida, against TCU, like when they've gone down, or like against Baylor, they've gone down. They haven't even come close to coming back. This was a game down 11 in the first half where they fought back and showed why they belong in the tournament.
I think that second half proved that they are a tournament team. I think it was you, Eddie, that tweeted during the game. Yeah, tournament teams find a way to win this game. You have to find a way. And they did, and it was ugly at times, but that second half offensively, I mean, they were making tough buckets. OSU was making a lot of – I mean, OSU's been playing a lot better basketball lately. I know you look at their record and you're like, well, is it really that big of a win? It's a huge win because of the way OSU's been playing, win on the road. You know, I just thought it was really impressive down the stretch how they just kept battling and finding ways, whoever it was. Like Bob said earlier, everybody played a role in that win.
Well, it's not a coincidence, too, that they were able to get out of there. And it's because they were able to take care of the ball. You had the first time all season, seemingly, that Oklahoma went on the road and the turnovers weren't an issue.
They only had 8 for the entire game. Now, they didn't have a lot of assists either, which was kind of weird how that worked out. But, yeah, they took care of the ball, so they gave themselves a fighting chance the entire way. They controlled what they could so that it was always within reach, and then it was just about trying to hit some of those clutch shots, and they finally did it there in the second half.
One of the bigger moments, too, second half, Jalen Moore picks up, I believe, his 3rd foul in the game. And all of a sudden you look up and Otega Oweh's coming in from the bench where he started in the second half. And if Oklahoma can just get, I don't want to say half because they need a little bit more than half, but 75% of what Otega Oweh gave them in the second half, they're going to be okay. Like, I think that's something you can work with.
He just finally played smart instead of trying to do way too much compared to what he's capable of. He was back to just doing some dirty work. A lot of stuff around the basket, just a couple dribbles, shoot, get a rebound, get a putback. Compared to, you know, that 3 he took in the first half was the worst moment. He airballs the 3, OSU hits a 3, 27-19, and you're like, this is just spiraling out of control so quickly. And for him to show the mental toughness to be able to not start in the second half, to realize Soares is coming in for me, not get down about it. When Moore gets foul trouble, Otega plays his best half in a long time.
Bob asked Porter Moser after the game about Otega Oweh coming off the bench in the second half.
Tega was great with it. Tega was, you know what? And it helped Tega. I'm telling you, it was the first time I did that all year, and Otega could not have been better. And look what he did. I don't think he missed a shot in the second half. I mean, I thought that was Otega of the past. So I don't know if it relieved some pressure on him or what, but watching Tega in the second half reminded me of earlier in the year Otega.
Watching Otega in the second half was a little bit like what Oklahoma did through the entirety of that second period. Was they went to the basket a lot, and Otega was able to finish around the rim. Is it as simple as he just got some shots to fall?
Yeah, because he wasn't trying to force threes, or he wasn't trying to dribble it in from the three-point line and make something happen. As we watch these clips, that's stuff he can do. Look, that's beautiful. That's Otega basketball. He can do that all day, all night. And then you add in his athletic ability with the rebounds and the steals, and you understand why it was such a huge part of the first part of the year. And he's got to get back to that during these final 4 games.
Do you want to apologize or take any credit?
I will take a lot of credit. I called him out. I think in the first half, I was like, he just has not been good.
Which was a fact.
In months. I mean, really thinking back, I know he's had some decent games since then, but you think back to the USC tip-in, which was so long ago, and he was.
Seems like months ago.
I mean,
it was months ago, but it seems like years ago.
Yeah, I mean, non-conference, he had a case for being maybe their best player at times.
Certainly the most improved, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was really playing good basketball. So for him to, I think finish out that second half, maybe they found something in that. I'm not saying that they should not start him going forward, but maybe that is something you consider moving forward, especially the way Soares is playing. But I also like having Soares come off the bench. I think that's kind of his role. Like he really embraces that.
The thing I will say, they were able to get it into the paint. You saw the 54 points in the paint on Saturday for both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. But I think a lot of it has to do with neither team really having a true big guy inside. Yeah. So to expect Otega to just be able to get to the paint, or anybody just to be able to get to the paint here moving forward with what they have, obviously upcoming this week, Iowa State on Wednesday in Ames, as well as Houston coming to town. Kelvin Sampson, I'm excited about that.
Number one.
But it's gonna be a lot different here moving forward, isn't it? How do you build momentum from something like this?
Yeah, I'm sort of wondering what that vibe's going to be like Wednesday in Ames, because this actually, we go back to 2 weeks ago, Bedlam. We're like, oh, you got that one in Norman. Now you don't have to win in Waco. You know that's not as dire, and it's the same way. Now you've got the one in Stillwater. I don't know even if you're playing at your best if you're going to win in Ames. No one's done it the entire season.
13-0 for Iowa State, coming off of a 7-point win over West Virginia on Saturday.
Exactly. So it's not like you can. I don't know how much you'll learn, but I'm intrigued to see what Soares' ankle feels like on Tuesday after the adrenaline has worn off and everything that he put himself through on Saturday. But I mean, for McCollum, that's the one that we'll kind of circle and see. Does that bring him the confidence to be that player that he was during the first 2 months of the season? I give him credit because he was 0 for 7 and he didn't shy away. He kept taking the threes that were there, and obviously he made the final 2. But I give him credit because even though the shots haven't fallen, I do agree with Porter. The last 2 weeks, even though he's still never going to be a great defensive player, he's been more locked in and trying to do everything else.
A little bit more to wrap up from Bedlam up in Stillwater on Saturday. Porter Moser, Rivaldo Soares kind of put a bow on this thing.
Because it was so physical. I thought both teams were very physical. And so you had to make some plays. And the score, if you would have told me we'd have given up 82-1, I probably would have said there's no way, just because how physical. And Mike would have probably said the same thing. Both teams, but it just kept on going back and forth with some elite plays. I thought both teams, really showed resilience, and that's the thing that because I think Oklahoma State's playing really well. They guard so tough, and you felt it out there. Our guys felt it too.
That gets me going. A lot of my teammates try to calm me down, but I feed into that. That gets me going. And for the team, we're an emotional team. In the last game against them, we got a bunch of texts. So it was about playing with that same passion, but less emotional, if that makes sense.
But there's got to be a resiliency to you. It's back and forth. It's never back and forth, and just so hard fought. And but absolutely, these guys came in here, and our guys this week was determined to. They felt like they had to win this game. I really feel like the guys did. And not in terms for any other thing other than themselves. They lost 2 in a row, but these guys keep bouncing back. We lost 2 tough ones, and they bounce back. But I can't say it enough. I know I can't say it enough. What an atmosphere on both players. Both players, the atmosphere. When Wright hit that shot in the corner, it's as loud as a game I've seen a game. That was an unbelievable shot that he hit. So great atmosphere.
just individually, I don't have that many games guaranteed left, and I'm just trying to play every game. I think we're all doing it on this team, playing every game like it's our last. We think we're the best team in the country, and that's the type of confidence we have to have against every team that we play, and it just shows.
4 games left in the regular season for Oklahoma. Iowa State, Houston this week. You got your work cut out for them. The rankings came out today. Houston's going to be the #1 team in the country when Kelvin Sampson makes his return to the Lloyd Noble Center on Saturday night. First things first, got a trip up to Hilton, a place that they did play well a season ago, but certainly got their work cut out for them. And, I don't know how much it goes into it. Iowa State, you want to call it a revenge game, whatever you want to call it. Oklahoma did beat Iowa State the first time around. I would expect a much different Iowa State team this time on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, if OU can take care of the ball, that'll let us know whether or not you should be engaged Wednesday night. If they have like 5 turnovers in the first six minutes, they're probably not with it. The Cyclones are bringing the heat, and I'm not sure how the rest of the night is going to go. But we'll just kind of watch and see what Saturday's carryover is, if any, and how they can try to propel it. And again, I'll just stick with Javian because if he's a different player, because he played very well against Cyclones. It still is the first game of the conference season. We didn't know how good Iowa State was going to be. And Javian was still being that guy that he was during the non-conference season. If that guy returns, this ceiling gets a lot different down the stretch.
It's going to be interesting. You do feel a little bit better about Selection Sunday coming up here in a couple weeks with you get to that 19th win. You're now 19-8 overall, 7-7 in conference play. And, out of the 4, you have that Cincinnati game next week, next Tuesday. I think if they get to 20, they should feel pretty good about themselves going into Kansas City.
That's what we've said all along. Get to 20 and you punch your ticket, and it didn't matter. Hey, if 19 is Bedlam and 20 is Cincinnati, get to 20, however you need to do it. And if you can steal one of these between Texas and Houston,
oh my
Iowa
gosh!
State,
think about how monumental that would be, because then you're starting to talk about, okay, maybe you can get back up to that 6 seed. Because then all of a sudden, if you were able to steal one, which is obviously going to be tough, maybe all of a sudden you finish 5th or 6th in the Big 12 as opposed to playing in that 8-9 game or whatever you may be in Kansas City here in about a week. It is the final week of the regular season for the Oklahoma women, a 91-56 victory on Saturday at the Lloyd Noble Center. George, you were there.
Yep.
It was a little bit of an ass beating in the second half as Jennie Baranczyk, and Oklahoma fans will like this, improves to 6-0 against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they're playing really good basketball right now. And Oklahoma State women have struggled this season. I think they're 13-14 now on the year, and they've had several key injuries out for the season this year. But the OU women are just playing really good basketball. They're a game up in the Big 12 right now. They sit in first place with number 3 Texas, who's just been on a roll since OU beat them in Austin. They're coming to town on Wednesday night, basically for the Big 12 championship. The winner will be the Big 12 champion. Now, OU can lose on Wednesday, and then they turn around, they play Kansas in Lawrence on Saturday. And if OU loses on Wednesday, if they win on Saturday, they will share the Big 12 title with Texas. But it's basically come down to the Longhorns in Oklahoma. But yeah, OU's playing really well right now. You look at Skylar Vann; she's kind of led the way for them in the post.
17-11 on Saturday for her.
She was really good in the paint. OSU really didn't have an answer for her. And then Sierra Williams, the McDonald's All-American, true freshman. She has just been spectacular over this last few stretch. She had 20 points, a career high on Saturday against OSU. She scored 10 straight out of halftime, really, because it was kind of a close game. I think it was an 8-point game, kind of like the game down in Stillwater, kind of going back and forth. OSU was hitting a lot of threes to kind of keep them in it. And then Sierra Williams just went off in that third quarter to really help OU kind of pull away. I think they ended up outscoring OSU maybe by 20 there in that third quarter.
Oklahoma now 20-7 on the year, 14-2 in conference play. I believe they've won 11 of 12.
Yeah, they've been on fire.
With the last loss coming to West Virginia about a week ago. It really is incredible when you talk about what Jennie Baranczyk's been able to do, guys. This team, I think everybody kind of knows what she inherited. She's been able to turn it around, and for them to even put themselves back into position, especially after the non-conference, in the way that you started conference play with a blowout loss in Manhattan. They've been a completely different team now. The Magic numbers 1 to claim the regular season title.
Yeah, and you mentioned non-conference. They really struggled. I mean, they lost to Southern
Yeah.
Southern at home, not too long
Not
ago.
a good basketball team, folks.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Really bad. So it was really dire there, and this was a team that came into the season with high hopes. I mean, they won the Big 12 championship last year in the regular season. They came in, I think, ranked in the top 25 to start the year. They stumbled through non-conference, and then all of a sudden, it just clicked for them. I think Lexi Keys has been a huge help, the transfer from Oklahoma State. She's shooting the lights out. Like I said, Skylar Van, Sahara Williams, and they get, players off the bench that have come in and really played well for them. They've got a true, 9-10 man rotation right now, which is crazy to think about. Now, we'll see how far they can make it in the tournament. I mean, women's basketball is always difficult because I think there's really only truly 5 or 6 teams every year that can go and win it, and it's the
South Carolina's playing in a different sport.
South Carolina is unbelievable. You've got
it's a little bit different.
Caitlin Clark is just carrying Iowa right now, and they're really good. But right now I think they're sitting around a 6 or 7 seed. Kind of will depend, how the season ends for them. But they're playing. They're one of the hottest teams in women's college basketball right now with the way they're playing. So anything's possible.
35-point win over Oklahoma State, the largest margin of victory in Bedlam on the women's side of things since 2004 when they won by 50.
Wow,
it's incredible.
That's a good stat. Also,
shout out Josh Petit.
Also, if they win the Big 12, it'll be the first time since 2006 and 2007 that OU has won back-to-back Big 12 championships.
Texas number 5, I believe, or they were number 5.
Number 3. They're 3
so
now.
they moved up to number 3.
If OU's one of the hottest teams in the country, Texas is right behind them.
Since the Oklahoma.
They have not lost since.
Yeah,
incredible.
And they're crushing teams.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure that they've got a little revenge on their mind as well coming to Norman.
Jennie Baranczyk and the Oklahoma women would love a packed house on Wednesday night when they take on Texas. I don't know if the stakes can be any bigger or higher for the regular season title. They got to get one win.
Yep,
Is that
just
right?
one
Over
out of
the next 2.
Yep.
Here is George talking to Jennie Baranczyk after the Oklahoma basketball game.
Well, I think the biggest thing is thank you for coming today. And, and I've gotten up here and I've gone on rants about how people need to show up, and I did that a year ago, and then everybody came and then we didn't. So I'm going to focus on making sure that we show up, and everybody else can come if they want to on Wednesday. But today was awesome for our state, and so that's what we're going to be really happy for. And I really hope that everybody says, you know what I want, I don't want them to come out for the championship. I don't want them to come out because it's OU Texas. I want them to come out because today they watched this team and they fell in love with this team the way that they play. That's what you want, because then guess what's going to happen next year? They're going to come back. Because I don't want there to be something they're coming for other than watching these women play. And I think the people that came today are going to come back to watch these women play.
Pretty good crowd on Saturday.
Largest of the season for them, I believe, just over 8,000. It was a really good crowd. A lot of little kids there too. I think they had some promotional stuff going on, but a really good crowd. And there's a good crowd. I mean, OSU fans were there as well, so very good atmosphere.
And just for scheduling purposes, Oklahoma men's basketball, 2 weeks left into the regular season. This is the final week of the regular season for women.
Correct, and then they go to Kansas City for the tournament as well.
Yeah,
Big 12 tournament.
They got rid of them playing at the same time, and you go back and forth. And
R.I.P. Kemper. Is it over? Is Kemper over? Is that what they're doing anymore? Never made my way over there, but it's going to be interesting. And it's kind of crazy that we look up and all of a sudden we're at the end of February. I mean, March is basically here at the end of next week. So birthday coming up next week. Everybody make plans. All right, gentlemen, that was fun. Good wins for both sides, the women and the men.
Yep.
I think that the Javian McCollum shot, we'll see what that can kind of trigger here, but it seems like that is one of the more what was the phrase that Lon Kruger used to use? Like, not pandemonium moments, but moments of, it wasn't like moments of chaos or like moments of celebration that he talked about. He just always kind of wanted to see it, and to see it unfold at Gallagher in what was probably most likely the last Bedlam experience for the foreseeable future. Tremendous memories down there on the baseline. And
before we go, Eddie, biggest shot for OU men's basketball since.
That's what we talked about that this morning on the radio. I think that, like, for what it was and for how big that game was, I have a hard time thinking that they've had a bigger shot here, at least in the last decade. I know that like Buddy had the big shot against Texas. Wasn't necessarily a buzzer beater.
Right. Isaiah Cousins. LSU.
Right.
How about the tip-in against Kansas Buddy's
with Buddy,
junior year?
2015.
Yep.
Did those wins change the fortune of a season in terms of, and
Right.
I think that it was talked about on Saturday. It's like, if the ball doesn't go down the narrative surrounding everything that was Bedlam on
three-game
Saturday.
losing streak going into Iowa State and Houston.
How about
Right.
this one? And this one is different because they ended up not playing the NCAA tournament that year because of COVID. But the Austin Reeves shot against TCU, that people forget that put them into the tournament. It's kind of similar in the way that it was like.
Well,
they
it put them
needed-
as a 3 seed in the Big 12 tournament.
Yes.
It went from like a 7 to a 3 based on one shot. And
Yeah.
then, of course.
And then obviously it never came to fruition because of, the thing, as George likes to call it. Yeah, it was a massive shot.
I mean, I think, and I tweeted this after the game. It felt like the fan base, the program, everybody just needed that shot to go in. Because, I mean, we're sitting here talking about a totally different perspective if it doesn't.
Well, I think that everybody talked about what a terrible
panic
play
button.
it was, why they, then you start listing off all the reasons why they even got into that position.
Yep.
It was tremendous. They needed it. Maybe no more. Nobody was probably as happy as Javian McCollum 1A. Porter Moser might be 1B when it comes to just kind of getting over that hump, and especially the team that was down the other bench.
And it's going to help Saturday. I
Sure.
think people will forgive if the result isn't there in Ames, but everyone's going to show up Saturday, not just because Kelvin is coming back.
Do you think they'll do any type of celebration?
It's a valid question.
Not just Kelvin, but you got Kellen Sampson coming back. Obviously, Hollis Price,
Juanis.
Juanis White.
Yep.
Surely they will.
Hopefully they do something.
I would assume
I don't
so.
think that, I think that this is one of those things too that there isn't a lot of animosity between the Sampsons and Oklahoma. At least I don't believe there is. I know that, Kellen's been back for a lot of football games here recently over the last couple of years. I hope they do something because the Kelvin Sampson teams, for a lot of people my age, that is like my childhood.
Exactly.
All kind of coming back to the forefront on Saturday. So it'll be interesting. Oklahoma, Wednesday night, big night for the women and the men. Oklahoma up in Ames. Oklahoma women back here at the Lloyd Noble Center trying to close out a regular season Big 12 championship. George, we appreciate it. Bob, we appreciate it. We'll probably try to do one more this week, get back into the realm of things here post-Iowa State going into the weekend for Oklahoma. So for the first time in a long time, we're happy to sign off from the Hoops Report. Bob, what's your name? George. Thank you. We'll talk to you guys right here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel next time.